everyone, and welcome to Wild Brought to you by Explore.org. We have none other than Mr. Mike Fitz in the house. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Trishella. How are you today?
I am very, very well. I'm in the bush, as all of you can see, and we have an elephant-themed Wild Moments for you today, and I was hoping that I could beat Mike's brilliant background and maybe get some real elephants walking by. But I feel like they might have walked right by without us even knowing on the other side of the drainage. But I'm still hopeful, everyone. Still hopeful. Remember that we're live and interactive, so you can send through questions and comments, which we love, because your wonderful questions often inspire me to research different things, as Mike did earlier today too. And I'm sure we'll chat all about that. We were talking a little bit about elephant communication, and all the clips that we have today are about elephants, and some really cool ones, and I'm sure you'll have lots to say about it. To start us off, Kaoru. Hello, Trishala and Mike. Kaoru, you have milk again today. I think I'm on the same level today. Water. Plain water.
Yeah, although I know a lot of people like their caffeine hit in the morning, and I have a new companion in my house, and she likes to get up around sunrise for a walk and breakfast. So at this point, sometimes I'm drowsy in my day.
I think a cup of tea might be better than the strong coffee hit. Oh, have you indulged already, Mike?
No, I haven't. No, it's just been straight up water today. That's been my only liquid.
Oh, good. Nice. Bridget McKenney says, hi, Trishala and Mike. Ooh, seltzer water with lemon for you. That's a nice one. Don't think I've heard you having that before, Bridget. Enjoy. Says, hi, all from Washington. And Zygote says, hi, Africam show. Hi, Zygote. All right, shall we head over to the Aldonyo camera in Kenya and look at a very entertaining elephant having a go at a stick. Oh, I remember seeing this. I was hoping it would be this one. Oh, it's a shame. I wonder, Kirst, who's in the background. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Kirsten. Oh, I know that he is. Sorry, Karen, Mike.
I was curious if this elephant appears to be more playful and curious than anything, but I can't need for elephants to use tools, but has ever been documented in elephants? I mean, they can be trained to use tools in captive situations, but I'm wondering about wild ones.
I haven't come across it being documented in wild situations. I did come across it being in Asian elephants, but in a captive environment. And if you can imagine, you have basically an additional limb, this really dexterous limb in front of you. So they are to with a lot of things and be curious about them. But the only documented instance I saw was with Asian elephants in captivity.
Yeah, I would imagine that for an animal that's so large and that trunk, for their lifestyle, they have tools, unless they want to. I don't know. An elephant one day learned to knock fruit out of a tree that's beyond its reach. That's one scenario I could think, or nuts or something like that. But otherwise, if they want to push down, I just push over.
Yeah, exactly. And and I think that's also an interesting thing to think about in general, because we use use and social interactions as kind of benchmarks for intelligence. But are those things even necessary for that species? So, like you say, with elephants, I feel like two use wouldn't really be a good marker for intelligence because they don't use tools.
Yeah, that, you know, measuring the intelligence of other animals based on what we think is intelligent is quite a high level realization. That's,
Yeah,
when we try to hold all of these creatures to our own standards, it doesn't necessarily apply all that. It was interesting, though, in that clip to see how the elephant was experimenting just different ways to hold dog. How easily manipulated it. I think it was maybe me difficult to judge how heavy dog might be. I think at the time of moved it with such ease just to hold it there, and then we saw how it was moving it with its feet. So experimenting with a few different ways of manipulation.
yeah, and when I'm looking at him, he seems very relaxed, a little bit, and it's something that I've noticed with elephants quite a lot. They sense of twiddling out thumbs or like shaking your leg and talking to you, almost the I don't know what you call it, your body just needing to do something does something else, and that always reminds me of, as if they're not that I would know that, but that type of behavior. But very interesting to watch. Like you say, that stick, a huge feat to manipulate in that way. For him, he's just kind of experimenting and touching with different parts of his body. And I think that also brings us to what you're telling me that you had read: communication versus visual communication versus audio communication in elephants. Thinking, because he just read it to me, but I only got far, and I was wondering, this kind of behavior is a way to practice, or practice specifically for community you are already in use, maybe, and so you're touching it to your human, so it doesn't make, I mean,
I do think the common sense would be that when we're watching creatures, they're mindful, and if not all of them, that are that have nervous systems like we understand.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that little break, everybody, but I do hope that our stream is coming through a little bit more steady, and so you can watch with a bit more pleasure than some of you were before. But I think that most of you caught our discussion and what we kind of our little insights on elephants, and of course that clip which was right at the end there. And we had Kauru. Where are you, Kauru? You said elephants are not dumb. You can see them thinking about it. You can really again, it's such a hard thing to talk about because I can say that I think this, but it means nothing. It's just a feeling, but I think people that feel difference are or they feel loving or they're pathetic, the best, it's not doing any harm except for us to have more respect, hopefully.
I would agree. Yeah, the
And
more
now
that we can find commonality with these non-human animals, the better. Because that leads to empathy, and I think if we can share the world, learn to share the world better with these other creatures, then the healthier our planet will be, and the healthier our societies will be.
absolutely, and I always the first point of conservation is really just being curious and getting to know an animal, because that leads to empathy, which leads to you actually being a conservationist, whether it's in your backyard or you go into it as a career. So it all starts with a little bit of curiosity and a little bit of empathy. Okay, I have a whole lot of hellos coming through now. We'll go through them and then we'll move on to the next clip. Firstly, Mindy Tillapau. We're all very happy for Mindy Tillapau because she's watching at work and they did chat. So big for Mindy. Happy to have you, Mindy. Rolling Trouble. Did we not see you already, Rolling Trouble? Yes, you are, but now
I
you're
think we
telling us
did.
you have water. Yeah. Andy, you say good morning, Mike, and good afternoon, Trish. Thank you, Andy. So observant about our time zones. Amber Coe says hello and good Thursday to all. You love the Thursday show and always have moments of learning. And thank you to Mike. Thank you very much. Legomorphophobic, you say you've seen elephant at Tembe. Did you see that on Rams? Because that's really interesting. That's basically what we were just asking, whether seen any wild animals using tools, or wild elephants, I should say, using tools. I suppose that might also be one. I agree with you with like being able to maybe take a stick and shake something off a tree that's too tall for them. But maybe also to try and get something out of their foot or tooth or tusk. That would also be a good one. But let us know,
Yeah, or to reach a body
legomorphophobic.
part that they can't reach. Yeah, but if we see that on the cameras, yeah, I think too, watching the now is important.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I'm going a little off track here, but there was one time where we saw a jackal interaction. And it was one that like I've seen and worked with jackals before, but I hadn't seen them behave in this way before. And so I, did a deep dive and looked and looked and looked. And the last observation I saw of that particular behavior was in a paper published in the 70s. And
Hmm.
since then it was cited as something that was rare and you don't get to see it often. And I was like, this is what the cameras are about. So cool. Okay, let's move to the next clip. We're still at Old Donyo, but this time we're looking at an elephant that has a little bit of an injury. It looks a bit sore, but it's been that way for about 2 years. Let's have a look.
Interest. This seems maybe likely that it was an old snare injury that is healed.
Yeah. Now, ordinarily, parks would tend to snare injuries, but in this case, the lodge hadn't, and like I said, it's been this way for about 2 years. And I was recently doing a little research on southern and northern white rhinos and kind of implanting the embryos of northern white rhinos and southern white rhinos. And it made me think about something which is applicable here too when we think about the treatment of animals, like veterinary treatment. What are the risks to the animal if we do treat it? What is the reward? Does it solve the real problem? And in this case, the one that I'm finding applicable is what are the risks to the animal? They would have to dart the animal, put it under anesthesia, then treat it. Whereas it seems like it's doing pretty fine. So why risk it?
Right. At this point, if it's been a couple of years and the injury's survivable, not to say that there's not some sort of um, disability or challenges that it might experience due to that wound, because it's not going to completely heal. They're not like a salamander, for instance, that loses its tail, can
Yeah.
regrow it. But it that seems like if the elephant's doing well enough, it's still in. This is such a great view because you can see
Yeah.
in this infrared light just how uh, it can manipulate the tip of its trunk almost like normal or like normal. So this probably isn't able to drink water as easily as it had in the past. And again, I'm just speculating, but it seems to have almost full mobility there. So it would be maybe more risk to the elephant now to try to intervene than just to let it do what it's been doing.
Yeah, and I think that the fact that the tip of the trunk, those finger-like protrusions, are still working fairly well, at least from our point of view, is the biggest factor. Because if it's, obviously there isn't sufficient nerve damage to disrupt that function, if you go in and stitch it up or whatever, then you could risk infection, that could risk potential nerve damage down the line. So I think it's a good call from the park side. Kirst, I wonder if we could just have a look at the beginning of that clip again because it's sucking up water, but the water's not coming out of the hole. It's only when it pushes it back up. So have a look here, sucking up, and only when it turns the trunk does the water fall under.
You wonder if it has adapted, its
Yeah.
means of sucking water up. If it could just kind of tilt, the open side of the trunk where the hole is, more upward, then the water would maybe lean, of course, on the other side, and
Mm.
there'd be maybe less risk of spillage. I think that would be certainly within an elephant's capabilities to be like, hey, this doesn't work for me this way, so I'm going to try it this other way, and that's the best I'll do with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of think about it like us with a straw, or especially us with a straw under 10 years old. And you have all sorts of weird things that you start to do when you pick up water and how you pick it up and what angle. And I think that it, like Mike said, it's a matter of adapting. Mindy, you
It
say
also
it
sort of
looks like it's hanging.
underscores how. Sorry, I interrupted you again.
Sorry, no worries. Mindy just said it looks like it's hanging on by a thread, but there is sufficient flesh there still. I would say more than half.
Right. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. I think maybe that first angle gave us a different, the daylight one gave us a different perspective on it. Like it looks like there's maybe less connectivity there
Yeah.
on some perspectives, but it really just underscores how tough and resilient elephants and other animals are. They don't have a choice. they get on with
Yeah,
life. You know, and I think about that anytime like I bump my knee or stub my toe. It's just like, Mike, just get over it, you know, and move on.
yeah, exactly. And in the wild, there is no cover for you to go under if it's storming. There's no place for you to go and recover if you've been injured. But you have to do your best, otherwise, it will spell the end of you. And so I'm going to tell myself the same thing, Mike, anytime I injure myself, which tends to be often. um, oh, we have a really nice question from No Name. Please send us through your name if you feel comfortable to. We like to get to know you. You would like to know, you're curious, are the cameras manned by people or do they detect motion and focus or on any movement in the area? They are manned by people. Those people are called the Zoomies. And Zoomies are a dedicated team of volunteers that go and look at the cameras every day. Sometimes they take shifts and they move the cameras around and have a look and make sure that things are in focus. And they also listen to any sounds because there could be alarm calls and that would focus their attention in different areas. And they do that all remotely. So Zoomies are anywhere in the world. And sometimes if you see that the cam is not moving, that's probably because there isn't a zoomie for that particular slot. So it'll just be kept on a wide so you can see everything. Yeah. And now I'm
And
going to
if you
have a
want
quick look
to
around.
volunteer, yeah, if you want to volunteer to be a Zoomie or a camera operator for Explore.org, you can go to explore.org/volunteer. There's a form to fill out there. We're always looking for not only camera operators but also moderators for our chats as well. So if you're maybe a super fan, you like to hang out, or you just have a free, a few spare hours per week, we'd love your assistance. So head on over to explore.org/volunteer.
Absolutely. You can also email Africam if you're interested in these cameras. We're always, I mean, the more people that are interested in wildlife, the better. Mindy, Mindy, I can't answer this question. Mindy would like to know. I'm going to throw it to Mike. Put you on the
Uh-oh.
spot. Mindy would like to know, do we think their pain tolerance is greater than ours? Or do they just have to deal with
Oh,
it?
yeah, I don't know. I think with some animals, their pain tolerance must be incredibly high. That they've just sort of adapted to that. I can think about animals that are in physical conflicts a lot. Like I'm familiar again with brown bears in Alaska, and sometimes they get into real vicious fights, and they come away with open wounds, stuff that would put us in the hospital. And again, they just put up with it. They get on with it. They're resilient. They're extremely tough. I imagine that they have a pretty high tolerance for pain. But again, that's so subjective though. What's on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest amount of pain someone's ever experienced, like that's different for every person, right? So for some people, it's going to be like, oh, I broke my arm or I broke my leg. For other people, it's going to be like I stubbed my finger, um, or something like that, or I hit my head on a on a signpost one day. So or it's for something that I can't experience. For many, women, it's giving birth. Like that's a pain level I can't imagine, right? So uh, it's going to be very, very different for us and for other animals.
Yeah, absolutely. But Mindy, as usual, because I love your questions, as usual, I will give it a think, and I'll see if I can find any kind of research that gives us some direction or some context. But I absolutely agree with Mike. It's such a subjective thing. It's like whether you find this chili pepper hot or that one hot, it's just different for everybody. All right, on to the next one. Let's come back down to South Africa and head over to Tau in Madikwe and watch an elephant having a drink near an apex predator. So, Cash.
Again, this is so great to see. I don't know if that's a full grown crocodile or not, but again, the elephant is just so much larger than than the crocodile. And it is so casual. It's like I could step on you. I could chase you away. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hang out here.
And you see that with elephant bulls a lot. The breeding herds are obviously more reactive because they have young calves with them. But elephant bulls, they don't, sometimes they are so calm, it's like they really truly know how massive they are.
This is a more calm interaction, though, if you can even call it that, between a crocodile and an elephant. Because I know with some of your shows earlier this year, uh, Trishala, you had clips of a crocodile that really seemed to have a problem with elephants
No
and
problem.
would try
Yeah.
to bite their trunks, and it would lunge out of the water towards them. So that's a very different
Yeah.
experience. Who knows what that crocodile's motivation was? But in this instance, this crocodile is more or less, for the moment, it could be terrified. We don't know, because they don't show the what they might be feeling inside. But for the moment, the crocodile here is not expressing things that would necessarily indicate it feels the elephant is threatening.
Yeah. I mean, those clips that you're talking about also came to mind. Those were at the Victoria Falls camera. And it almost seemed like the crocodile had a bone to pick with elephant. But crocodile also didn't go after elephant bulls or large bulls. He almost always
Oh,
targeted
interesting.
young bulls. Yeah, and breeding herds. But the majority of the time I've seen elephant bulls interact with pretty much anything that another animal would find threatening. They they sort of look at you with this face that says, go on, try.
And one difference I think between people and elephants in this situation, if is speaking from a guy's perspective, there are a lot of stupid guys in the world, and there'd be guys in that situation and be like, "Well, that crocodile's not doing anything. I'm going to touch it," and they wiggle something stupid, and then chaos ensues. So the elephant, I think, did the right thing, just walking away, knowing that it could whatever it wants, and just walk.
Everyone chilled that way. Grumpy old man says, "Fucking my son, dude." And that could definitely be what the croc was thinking. Rolling Trouble said, "The croc is watching." It comes back again to this thing that I see very often, this type of behavior, which is that unless it is necessary to interact or it is instinctual to interact, most animals won't, because if they do, I mean, an aggressive interaction, if they do, it means that they could potentially be injured too. So both parties are fine and there isn't any display or threat going on, obviously, just leave it. And you see it a lot. I just want to tell you very quickly, we have one more clip to play and then we'll say goodbye. But there was a time I was off of the vehicle and I was tracking. So I was behind the vehicle, probably about 10 meters, 15 meters. But my head is down when I'm tracking, but I know the cameraman's in the vehicle and I said to him, let me know. And he says, there's an elephant coming. I looked, he was in the distance. I said it was fine, enough time. Looked down, carried on, couple seconds passed, and he said, Trish, elephants come here. Like, I know, told me. And I turned around and the elephant was in front of our vehicle. But it was a great big bull, the same kind of bull that has the confidence that he doesn't need to show off. He just is. And this lovely bull waited for me to get back into the driver's seat until he walked across. It was almost like he said, okay, you don't look like a threat, but I'm still an elephant, so you just get back in the vehicle. And then he walked across.
Yeah.
And he,
Yeah. You do what you are expected to do, and everything will be cool.
exactly. Exactly. And I think that's um, most human interactions with animals that we have out here has that same kind of that feeling. If you can be predictable, do what you are meant to do, it just creates less chaos. And I feel
Yeah, a
like
lot of
animals
times
appreciate.
I think so too, because a lot of times animals they're looking for predictability in their interactions with
Yes.
wild creatures and with people. You'll hear things that people say about animals. It came out of nowhere, or it you know that you can't predict their reactions. And a lot of times, animals are communicating in their own very clearly with us. So
Yes.
we humans are the ones who are probably the least predictable because there are the people who want to pet the wild elephant. There are the other people who see the elephant as a threat to their livelihood if it's invading their crops. And so it can be very difficult. And that's the same thing I've seen with bears across North America as well. Some people just want to friends with the bear. Other people see the bear as a threat to their livestock or what have you. So if you interact with individual animals long enough, you can sort of set up a contract with them, like expectations, that is. But if you break the contract, that's when what the animal, whether it's a bear or an could react in an aggressive manner towards you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see the same thing with like if I'm walking in an antelope. If it's your first time walking and you see an antelope, them so you try to hide, or you start doing so, or they're used to that behavior with a human, and it all comes down to, like you said, this contract of predictability. All right, last everyone, this is just a really cute interaction at Naledi Dam, and then we'll go through comments and then we'll say bye. Oh, the elephants love this well. Oh, that was very sweet.
And I'm going to be watching elephants differently now based on some of the new research that I out recently. Um, Trish, you mentioned it that the elephants greet each other in different ways depending on whether the elephant is paying attention to another. Like if they think the other elephant is looking at them, they're going to use more visual cues. But if the elephant is not looking at them, then they may be more inclined to use touch, for instance, and that it depends. Uh, it's context specific, but that is really going thing that I'm going to be looking at. I can necessarily understand, because I didn't have it there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just
and I
adds another layer to the complexity of their
exactly.
lives.
I was talking about the thing. Slightly older, kind of is I thought did manage it, but I think with, at least in my experience and thinking about it, something I would see more often in older animals, something that they learn based on how they interact socially. And I mean, like you said to me, like a tap on the shoulder when you're a child and someone's not giving you attention, kind of learn that you have to get in front of them, or you've got to tap them. And I think it's a learned behavior, because with youngsters like the calves that we are looking at now, they just kind of do everything at once, constantly. Whether it's touch, communication, the gesturing or the displaying, they kind of do it all at once, which is very cute. I think it's a learned behavior, but I still need to finish the article.
Yeah, if people want to read it, it's actually open access, and there's been some sort of like newspaper and articles about it. It's called, and the title, this is not the title I would have chosen, but you know how peer reviewed uh, sometimes it's called multiplication and body connectedness in the greeting behavior of semi-captive African savanna. And more information about how elephants communicate. That's kind of the deal.
That's the simplified version. But it is, like, so far from what I've read, it sounds like it's really, really interesting stuff. And it's something that will change the way that you watch elephants, and only make them more complex, which is a wonderful thing. Anyway, it's time. Did some other hellos come through? Jean Gale, are you now? Say you've slept 2 hours. It's okay. We hope that you'll go back and watch the show, because it's all about elephants. Time to say goodbye. Rolling Trouble, you say thanks for the show today. Thank you so much, Mike, for making time for us. It was really nice to again.
Always a lot of stuff.
Thank you. I hope when does your bear season start again? Very soon.
Yeah, pretty soon, coming up in a few weeks. So we're looking at late June. So look during the last 2 weeks of June. But I won't give anything more than that away.
Well, I'll be tuned in so I can watch the bears, and then I can ask you all my bear questions.
All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.